Today I thought I'd share the biggest barriers for me in my own recovery. If you're an unfaithful spouse, you'll probably relate with some of these. If you're a betrayed, at least it'll kind of give you a window into at least one unfaithful spouse's honest assessment of what their biggest issues were. I'm one big issue in myself. My biggest problem is me, and that's the blog I had planned today, and I scrapped it because it just wasn't working. But I want to give you the biggest issues that I had in my own recovery, because I think it's important that you hear what's going on. The first problem was a lack of empathy. I just couldn't be empathetic to Samantha. I couldn't be empathetic enough to Samantha. And that wasn't Samantha's issue. I just was a mess. And so my lack of empathy was the first roadblock that caused alarm with Samantha. I remember one day she said, I haven't seen you cry. I haven't seen you have this intense breakdown. It was because I was so numb. I was more empathetic to what my affair had cost everybody in the church, staff members, even my affair partner, than I was towards Samantha. Now, I know some of you are going to freak out at that, but I'll just tell you it's very normal, because you as an unfaithful who have justified the affair to yourself a million times and have lied to yourself a million times, you can't just flip a switch. You can't just bonk them on the head and expect them to be incredibly empathetic. It just doesn't work that way. And that was one of my biggest struggles, is I just couldn't get to a real, true point of empathy for Samantha until I got the right kind of help. I had to read a few books. I had to have Rick really walk me through some exercises to get there. But I just wasn't there. People called me a sociopath. It wasn't that I was just like, oh, I don't care about what I've done. It wasn't there. I was glassy-eyed. I was saying the right things, but I just wasn't there yet. The second biggest issue was resentment. And really, I think it was probably the most toxic. And any unfaithful spouse will tell you, in most cases, resentment is what fuels the affair. I was angry at Samantha for what I perceived as her rejecting me, as not celebrating me, as her treating me like a fourth kid, as her not wanting to be intimate enough with me, with her not celebrating all these incredible things that I was doing, but yet everybody else in my life was. I just had this incredible amount of resentment, and that resentment fueled the lack of empathy. The resentment fueled the justifications, the self-deception. It fueled the illicitness of the affair. Because I was so angry at Samantha, it produced this brazen, hard anger that I just wasn't healthy enough to deal with, wasn't strong enough or courageous enough to deal with, and so that fueled the affair. So resentment, and it wasn't easy to see. Rick had to do a number of things to get deep down inside into my soul and see how I was harboring bitterness and unforgiveness and an intense amount of resentment towards Samantha. And a lot of the unfaithful spouses that I talk to, it's the exact same way. We perceive rejection. We perceive that you, the betrayed, don't want to meet our needs, don't care about our needs, that we're not important to you, that you don't celebrate us, that we're a hero everywhere else but in the home. And so that fuels resentment, which then fuels everything else. The sexuality of the affair, the emotionality of the affair, it just fuels it. Number three, and I think it's a byproduct of the resentment, is just my real complete self-absorption. Life became about me. I was a great dad, but I was a great dad because I knew I should be, and I wanted everybody to think I was a great dad. And before you go throwing out the big narcissist term, yeah, I was narcissistic. Most unfaithful spouses are. Was I a true narcissist? No. but I really was preoccupied with how everything affected me. I was incredibly self-absorbed. I mean, I was kind of at this level where, you know, I was the big man in this ministry, and I was so important, and I was doing so many great things, and everybody needed to celebrate me, and everybody did, except Samantha. And Samantha knew the real me behind the scenes, and I wasn't this Superman of a husband. And so I was so caught up in me that fueled the resentment, which then fueled the lack of empathy, which then fueled the idiocy that I had given myself over to. So I hope that helps you today. I hope it gives you a picture of the mind of the unfaithful. I'm always open to suggestions. I really want to say thank you for watching this vlog. I had no idea it would affect and help as many people as it has. But if you ever need help, if you ever want to ask me to speak on something, by all means, feel free to leave a comment.